in the first round, the third heat.
Well, Morgan always willing to let you know he's there, and he's working the inside of Crapo. Set him up because then he used an outside pass in his standard look back. Yeah, I cleared you. I'm going away. Look back at Kurt Crapo.
Yeah, then in round 2, heat 3, keep an eye on Morgan. This is so un-Morgan-like.
Working the inside, and you can see right in front of him that a big tumble by Shabitsky, and when it all ended, Morgan not only couldn't get around it, watch what happens. Boom! Sled ends right up on Morgan's hood. Finally able to get away, but way, way back.
Another story we're following for you is Noel Kohansky, who finished second here at Canterbury last year. Here's Jerry Bernardo.
JB, the Golden Boy, Noel Kohansky. Noel, every year at Canterbury, you have great races. I know you've been training hard. What do you attribute your success here at Canterbury? You always shine.
It's the crowd. It gets me fired up. I think family and just all the energy and everything in my trailer is awesome.
All right, Noel, tell me about the Polaris thing shining. 50 pounds less than last year. You have to be loving the power to weight ratio.
Yeah, I'm loving the power to weight. I did a lot with the development and everything. I've got a lot of time on it. I mean, it's working awesome. Suspension, everything, we're getting it dialed in. I mean, it's going to be competitive, like unbelievable.
So coming into this year, you definitely have your program ready to go, screwed on tight, the whole deal.
Definitely screwed on, Jerry. Oh yeah, we're good to go.
The one place that these racers can express personality is in their helmets. With more, here's Jerry Bernardo.
Last week, the legendary Mr. Blackwell came out with his top 10 worst and best dress list. That's LA. We're up here in Canterbury. It's different. Here in the WSA, a lot of people have custom painted helmets, individual style on top of your head. I've been painting lids for 15 years, a lot of fumes, so I know what looks good and what looks like crap. Mr. Blackwell's top 10 worst helmet in the world right here. That thing is ugly. We're going to talk to the riders, check out all their lids, and see what's up when it comes to style. Definitely one of the best helmet painters in the industry has to be Bob Smoots from Flying Colors. The stuff's sweet. I mean, did you tell him what you wanted or just give him blank lids?
We just give him blank lids and pretty much give him free rein. He comes up with some really killer ideas and an excellent finish on them. They're like glass.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You win the contest for the ugliest helmet in the WSA. What do you think about that?
I'm pretty stoked.
That is ugly. Quit trying to get out of the deal. Look at this thing. That thing is ugly. No prize. We don't have a winner. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, TJ, let's hear a little bit about your Hellion Designs helmet paint job.
Well, I just kind of send him a white helmet, and he sends me back something that looks a little like this. It's kind of creative. Hellion design here. Took a few chips out of it right there. This is what he comes up with at the end of the process. That's a mod helmet. Pretty cool.
Cool.
Hey, Jerry, that so-called ugly helmet is just like my helmet. Oh, well, Pro Stock Final is coming up next from Canterbury. There's Noel Kohansky as he gets ready to take a look at the course on his reconnaissance lap. Also out there is TJ Gula. There's TJ coming into this round from the LCQ.
Sometimes snowmobile racing can be very violent. TJ, last year here at Canterbury, punctured lung, huge crash.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't fun, you know, it sucked. I mean, I went over the finish line and my engine seized and I just went over the bars and the sled landed on top of me and actually popped my lung. But I'm back, I'm ready to win, it doesn't affect me.
Pop lung, bruised heart.
Yeah, I didn't really feel that, I just kind of skipped a few beats, but I'm not going to skip any beats this weekend, I'm going to go out and win.
Good luck on the new ride.
Thanks.
Well, it's been a long road, but TJ Gula is back. Fans are here, too, ready for the start of the Pro Stock Final. There's the points as we come into the finals.
Very close. Only 4 separating the top 2 and the rest of the field knocking on the door. Noel Kohansky always seems to ramp it up here at Canterbury. Loves this track ball.
And there is Justin Tate. Success at Duluth this year, some success at Canterbury last year.
But also a huge crash. He got carted off with a little help, as did Gula. He's looking to bring that back around. Blair Morgan, of course, won the gold at Winter X last year. Looking forward to it again this year, but comes off of that sweep at Deadwood. He's ultra motivated.
Of course, keep an eye on Tucker Hibbert, number 68. Seems like every race he's immediately hooked up and battling with Blair Morgan. Second row in from the LCQ.
That's Tucker on the left, and he's using that smooth outside line. You can see how much speed he got going into that turn. That translates into exit speed. He's your early leader. Looks like Wolf and Morgan second and third.
Tucker Hibbert came out of the far right, far driver's right, and just came sweeping around and into the lead. Nice big long track, really a long oval in its own way. But look at this. Wolf comes up, challenges Hibbert. Wolf gets Hibbert.
Absolutely bar to bar. Like Kohansky, Wolf, another guy who always seems to put together awesome weekends here at Canterbury, and he has got another one dialed in. Look at the pack that is just diving down into what Noel Kohansky calls the gravity cavity.
So Hibbert takes the lead back. Wolf slots back now about 15 yards behind Hibbert, and Blair Morgan comes up. Oh! Unbelievable!
Whoa! He just came off. I mean, you just do not see that. And remember, in the course description, I talked about it's that granular snow with that hard ice underneath, and you get these square edges that are buried in the snow, in that granular snow. He may well have just hooked one of those, pitched him off.
Last time I've seen anything like that with Tucker Hibbert was a year ago at Winter X, and that was a failed break. Look at it here, Greg.
Watch what happens. He looks perfect. He's trying to double over, and that's exactly what it was. There was a squared edge buried underneath some of that granular snow, and it just hooked that front ski, pitched him off. Watch it here, right there. You see how it just suddenly hooked him and threw him? That's because underneath that nice, soft, granular snow on top was a demon lurking.
You know, and he owes a thank you, if not a cocktail, to both Todd Wolf and Blair Morgan for not running right over him.
And once again, as a result of Tucker's off, Todd Wolf leads at Canterbury. Won a final here a couple of years ago. As I said, just loves this track. Always seems to come big here. But you look behind him, there's Blair Morgan. And in third, guy we haven't talked much about, the Finnish champion, the reigning European Snocross champ, Tomi Amasalo, right there, that blue and yellow machine. I'll tell you what, at Duluth, he really was out to lunch for the simple reason that he got into the country 2 days before that after some major visa problems, hadn't touched a snowmobile, and a North American snowcross, very different than European. That's all seems to be changing. Amasalo looks very good.
Yeah, it's really great to have Tomi Amasalo with us this year, racing back up at the front. Blair Morgan continues to work on Todd Wolf, but Wolf's holding his own. What a great run for this guy.
Yeah, Wolf is absolutely not leaving any doors open here. No opportunity for Morgan. Blair known for making opportunity, but right now, at least, he does not have an answer for Todd Wolf. Knowing Blair, he's in study mode, watching what Wolf is doing, trying to see where do I have an opportunity to make something happen.
It's three ski-doos at the top. Wolf, Morgan, Amaseo, all on ski-doos. And then Noel Kohansky, who again is having a good day here on his Polaris, followed by Mike Island.
Keep in mind, Wolf and Amasalo ride for the same team. Now look at Morgan!
Morgan goes to the inside! Morgan takes the lead away from Wolf.
Paul, that was absolutely beautiful. Morgan had followed Wolf for an entire lap, watched his pattern, knew he floated wide in that first turn, so Morgan went in wide, faster exit speed, just straight line to the next apex, and then took Wolf's line away. Absolutely beautiful. Vintage.
3 lead changes thus far in Pro Stock. We'll be back with more from Canterbury. Welcome back, WSA Snocross. The action continues in Pro Stock Final from Canterbury Park in Shakopee, Minnesota. Blair Morgan is the leader. He just got around Todd Wolf. Tomi Amasalo sits in third place. Noel Kohansky is fourth. And Mike Island now runs in fifth. You watch Kohansky.
Noel, once again, good run here at Canterbury. Oh, got a little squirrely there over a couple of those big whoops. And again, those really sharp, hard edges underneath the snow really just bounced the sled around. Noel, that time came off almost. And Island got a run.
Oh, here is Mike Island, and he goes around Noel Kohansky.
Those two bobbles by Noel, one in that mogul field, the other one over the jump, cost him enough momentum that Island had his speed built up and again used that fast outside line in turn one. We're seeing a lot of riders go to that line very successfully.
We have already seen some surprises here, not the least of which is Tucker Hibbert burying a ski into the snow and flipping off. No longer a contender in any form. Blair Morgan we saw come from third to the lead of the race. But remember, as Greg Kramer told you earlier, this snow has all been gathered here. WSA did a terrific job in getting enough snow to run a full-size course here, despite the fact you look off course, there's nothing. But in doing so, there may be a few surprises hidden under the surface.
Very good way to put that. Some surprises out there. Absolutely, that is indeed the case. Good look there at Wolf. And another surprise is Amasalo. I mean, he's got the reputation in Europe as the reigning champion, but who knew? I mean, he was going to adapt to the high-flying aerial style of snowcross, intermixed with the very light, choppy stuff. You don't see a lot of that in European snowcross, and Amasalo is absolutely showing that he belongs here. That is right now a second and third by the Warner Racing teammates. Wolf right there, Amasalo right behind him.
I got a chance to talk with Tommy Amasalo just a little bit. He's a very pleasant guy. You know, sometimes you wonder, they come over from Europe, maybe they feel like they have a superior situation over there. And that's not his attitude at all. He follows other great guys over here and continues to admire the racing in the United States. One more lap to go for Blair Morgan. Looks like he's going to do it again. Morgan, Wolf, Amasalo as they start the last lap.
Morgan absolutely has control of this. Ever since he got around Wolf, he's just eased away, has found that rhythm. And I've often said, when he's running in front, see how he gets up and over the bars, keeps the nose down, keeps it planed out, then gets ready, presets, preloads the suspension for the jumps. Just phenomenal to watch him work. Nobody floats like Morgan, and that is raw speed. He is just phenomenal.
Morgan, every inch a racer, continues an incredible record in the WSA. It makes you wonder, when his snowcross days are over, where does he go? A little heel clicker for us from Blair Morgan. He takes the win in Pro Stock at Canterbury.
Just a classic ride. You can see, even for Blair, who's won so many races in his relatively short tenure, still gets jazzed. Nothing does it for him like winning.
Well, the results are official now. It's been won by Blair Morgan, then Todd Wolf and Tommy Amasalo. Mike Island with his pass of Kohanski. Good move, got him up into fourth place.
Blair Morgan celebrating, as he should, and of course the big moment for him came with an absolutely beautiful pass, and it was set up by patience. Now watch right here. Wolf floats a little wide at the exit of the first turn, and look at Blair. He's on that outside line, got good exit speed, squares up right to the apex right here. Wolf turns in, wants to counter, and watch Blair just ease right a little bit, takes away the lane. Another look at it right here, and you can see Wolf turning back underneath, trying to keep his speed up or cut underneath. Morgan just eases in, parks it, parks Wolf as a result, and then Morgan gives you a little Blair flare in the end.
Well, let's go now down to Jerry Bernardo.
Blair Morgan with another dominating win in the stock class. You change sleds, you're on the Skidoo, doesn't seem to be a problem. And you know what? Never try and take a motocross's line.
No, definitely not. I'm the same person, you know. Same guy as last year. I just want to go out there and win some races, and Skidoos are working good. Obviously, we went 1, 2, and 3 in the final today, and can't be happier.
Hey, Todd Wolf had a good line in front of you. You just got in front of him and blocked it gone.
Yeah, I was just sick of following him for a while. It was pretty kind of one line out there, and then I saw that line and just threw it out there on him, and yeah, it wasn't even dirty or anything. It didn't even come close to touching him, and just try to pull a little bit of a lead and hit the finish line.
Okay, we're going to let you keep your nickname Superman. Good job, man.
All right, thanks.
Welcome back to WSA Snocross from Canterbury Park, Shakopee, Minnesota. Our next event comes from Crandon, and let me tell you, we have seen some great action at Crandon. Remember just a year ago that wonderful final lap pass by Tucker Hibbert to take the win.
And that on one of the riders' favorite courses. Now, there's a very popular class in WSA, the Women's Pro category, and one of the newest stars is with Jerry.
Listen, Tongray, you need to help me. We need to promote Women's Pro Snowcross.
If you come out and see us ride, you'll see that there's a really good race up front. We're battling it out. Last year at Lake Geneva, we had 4 different leaders in one race.
And what are you going to do to help?
I'm going to hopefully win.
So who are some of the other women you compete against?
There's Amanda Johnson, Julie Thule, Jolene Butte, me, Lissa Tongray. This weekend we had a turnout of 21 pro women, and we're hoping that it keeps rising.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's just part of the great event that a WSA Snowcross weekend is. On Saturday, they have a very long autograph session with all of the pro racers. You get a chance to pick up some autographs, ask a few questions, have a little fun with everybody. WSA Snocross weekends are terrific. Blair Morgan won in Pro Stock. Todd Wolf and he are kind of reliving that race and perhaps looking ahead to the Pro Final, Pro Open. Inside Cross. Inside Cross is brought to you today by Ride FX. Ride hard. We can take it.
In all forms of motorsport, one of the most important formulas is the ratio of power to weight. Excess weight on a machine is very detrimental to performance. The question is you got to get rid of it, and that certainly applies here in Snocross. We've talked about how much weight Polaris has trimmed off these machines. The question is why and where. Let's start with where. On the Polaris, it all starts underneath the engine cover here. They have a one-piece machine aluminum bulkhead as opposed to using all the bolt-on parts. It allowed them to drop a lot of weight in excess accessories that were just heavy. The other places that they've lost weight is suspension. Now that's unsprung weight. That's the worst kind. You go down to the front suspension, the long trailing arms, that's a lot of piece of material. They've changed it to chrome moly, much lighter but much stronger. Also the shocks themselves. They've gone to Walker Evans off-road shocks, incredibly light but incredibly strong and durable, saved a lot of weight there. And finally, at the very back, on the skid frame and the rear suspension, they've trimmed off some 15 pounds of weight there by doubling up, making one component do the job that two used to do in the past. It is so crucial to get rid of the weight. Now, why? If you're heavy, it takes you longer to slow down going into a turn, much longer to accelerate coming out. If the other guys are light and they have equal power, you're going to lose. It's that simple. So Polaris has addressed that. But weight not only affects the machine, it affects the rider. And for more on that, let's go to our old motocrosser, Jerry Bernardo.
That's right, Greg. Weight is definitely an issue. But the manufacturers are also keeping an eye on the prevalent stand-up riding style of today's snowcross racers. Everyone knows to go fast, you have to stand up. The way you stand, the way you soak up all the jumps, very important. To explain it a little better, right here, Kyle Kuster from Team Skidoo. Everybody nowadays is standing up.
Yeah, if you want to soak up the jumps and go fast, you have to stand up because you can position your body to turn or react quicker. If you're sitting, it just throws you off the sled. If you're standing. Thank you.
The crowd is up. Pro Open is next. WSA Snocross and Greg Kramer. The points are becoming pretty critical at this juncture of the season.
You can see the separation there is 6 points. Now keep in mind, you get 25 points if you win a final, 10 if you win a heat. So there's 45 points available on a weekend. There you see Morgan. He has that lead of 105 points. Why? Of course, he won the most recent round at Deadwood. Hibbert won the Pro Open opener in Duluth, but he was fourth at Deadwood. That's hurt him. There's no question.
So currently Hibbert is 6 points back from Blair Morgan. We want to show you some highlights from Pro Open qualifying and the LCQ. Back in the first round, Heat 1.
And this one is Dennis Ekstrom. Gets that great hole shot, that outside line, wide right from the rider's perspective. Really seems to be the quick one. And he goes right to the lead and leads pretty good early. Now, Todd Wolf, nothing like confidence after a strong run in the stock class, comes up, joins him, and they get into a pretty intense battle. Wolf ends up settling, though, for another very competitive second place behind Ekstrom. We jump right into the second heat of that first round of qualifying, and this is Brad Pitlick and Chris Vincent. Watch what happens here. That's Pitlick, that same outside line, but did you see the great move there by Vincent as he went right across the nose and into what was second, then into the lead. Pitlick, that Skidoo, known to be a little bit tail happy, got a little wobbly on him. However, Hibbert, the guy that Vincent had nosed across, started a classic Hibbert attack. Watch here. Big move working on Pitlick, gets him down in the gravity cavity into that long left-hander, starts to attack Vincent, cuts underneath, couldn't get it done there, pops to the outside. He's exploring lines. Tucker, along the same lines as Blair Morgan, when he's behind you, he studies, and then he will pounce and take an opportunity to make a move. This battle raged for a long part, but look at that. Found the opening again, his favorite pass, down into that gravity cavity, and Paul, he ends up going from third to first. The third heat of this first round was Blair Morgan. Right in the center, yellow Skidoo. Morgan gets the whole shot. And I tell you, when this guy gets out front early, it's all over but the shouting. You saw 37, Kohanski on the red Polaris, a little squirrely, while Morgan started to check out. There is Carl Shabinski ducks underneath Kohanski. But look at Kohanski's counter move. Just a beautiful, really counter-punch pass right there. Worked exceptionally. The story for Morgan, he had a problem in the second round of qualifying. As a result, he's in the LCQ.
Yeah, that's an unusual setup to see 7C in the lineup for the Pro Open LCQ. So on the start, focus certainly was on Blair Morgan.
And look, he's dead stick. He is absolutely dead stick. The sled went nowhere. He is parked. You've got to be in the top 4 in the LCQ to go to the final. Morgan is not going to make the final in Pro Open. Listen to that. It started again. It dies again.
Can you imagine how a great champion like Blair Morgan feels when something like that happens? Still riding for the 4th year now with a torn ACL. Chris Vincent on the Yamaha comes out in front of Todd Wolf and Yuji Nakazawa.
Well, I'll tell you, you can see Vincent just airing it out, going for everything. Morgan's still trying to get going. Apparently there's some electrical problem within the sled there, and it'll start, then it just simply dies. You can see the official pointing everybody by Morgan, and they want to get him off the track so that that is not a yellow flag area, so people can race through there. But bad problem there, and look at, there's Nathan Titus working over Todd Wolf, Paul.
Yeah, with 5 laps to go, it was a Titus-Wolf battle behind Chris Vincent as the leader.
Wolf coming back after Titus. Boy, he wanted to use that inside line, and Titus sensed he was going to do that. Kind of went right just a little bit, angled over that jump, and shut the door on Wolf.
Chris Vincent remained the dominant power in this one as Wolf came back to 2nd place, Titus to 3rd. Mike Island poking his nose in there too.
We just saw Island pass Nakazawa and pick up that crucial 4th and final transfer spot. There's Island. That blue Polaris actually ducking down now underneath Titus. Mike Island, we had talked about it in the Pro Stock, that so far this year he's made every final in the WSA circuit. He now is in a place, in a position to make the Pro Open final, keep the streak alive.
That 3rd place gave him a little bit of insurance, putting him 1 position ahead of the transfer point in the last chance qualifier, with Chris Vincent and Wolf ahead of him.
You mentioned there's Island, there's Wolf right front. Behind Island is Titus, who's on the bubble in that 4th spot. You talk about Vincent riding with that ruptured ACL. Titus, this is the first time in 2 years he's been healthy. First that blown out knee and major reconstructive surgery. Then the problems with his braces rubbing through to the staples in his shin last year. He's healthy, and he's finally able to just spend some time just riding, focusing on that.
Nathan Titus currently 4th in the transfer point. Nakazawa right behind him with a little over a lap and a half to go, trying to get around and grab that transfer point away.
This is really the battle right here, and if Nakazawa can find a way by Titus, Titus will be demoted and not be able to make that final. So this is really where this battle rests. Vincent, Wolf, and Island, unless there's a mistake up front, they're in.
The white flag coming out to the leader, Chris Vincent, and now to the rest of the field. Whenever you talk about guys like Vincent riding injured, as he has been for a very long time, you ever had one of those injuries? It gives you some idea of the level of perseverance that these great racers have.
Absolutely phenomenal. There's Wolf sitting in 2nd, trying to make the final here. There's Island, and there's the gap back to Titus. Looks like he's opened up a little bit on Nakazawa.
Vincent, Wolf, Island, Titus, those are the 4 looking at a transfer spot. And the final lap of the LCQ taken by Chris Vincent on the Yamaha. And absent any problems, the order remains the same to the finish. Here's the official finish of the Open LCQ. Vincent, Wolf, Island, and Nathan Titus. And can you believe it? Blair Morgan goes home early.
How frustrating it will be for him to watch this final knowing there's a potential 25-point loss at this level of competition, Paul. You can't miss a final.
It's going to be expensive. Pro Open is next. Welcome back to Canterbury Park, Shakopee, Minnesota, WSA Snocross. The Pro Open Final. And here, Tucker Hibbert has an opportunity with the absence of Blair Morgan to take a major jump in the points.
He sure does. That's Russ Ebert talking to him, the mechanic that built that awesome mod that took him to gold at Winter X a couple of years ago, and it's still living out there. There's Noel Kohanski, we talked about it. He comes alive here at Canterbury.
Brad Pitlick, who has made a reputation as a major hole shot artist. And of course, you get in front, it's hard to get around you.
Dennis Ekstrom on the Amsoil machine. Of course, he was third here last year. Easily one of the smartest, fastest, and most capable riders on the circuit. Carl Kuster, look who he's talking to. Blair Morgan getting some tips. Blair's got nothing better to do, amazingly.
His teammate's going to help him out just a little bit here. Give him a little advice. Maybe Kuster can win it. Tony Amasalo from Finland, the European champion, on the line.
Watched him ride in that pro stock race. This guy has finally found the form. If he can duplicate it here, who knows? And Justin Tate, pro stock winner at Duluth earlier this year, had that big crash last year. He'd like to make up for it right now.
Ready to go. Pro Open Final.
Kuster, good launch, that yellow skidoo, but on the outside, Pitlick, just like you said, hole shot.
So Pitlick rockets off the line, but it's a battle for the lead, and it's undetermined at this point.
I think Noel Kohanski almost
Look at Amasalo!
Wow, what a move by Tommy.
Tommy Amasalo comes down the inside and around Pitlick, picks up the lead. Trevor Johns drops into third place.
Amasalo, that was a huge move. And I tell you what, every time we've seen him run this year, Paul, more and more confident, more importantly, perhaps more and more comfortable. That's what builds that confidence. And I'll tell you, with the extra grunt of these big mod sleds, he is working it out there. And you can just look at that. The skis just barely touching the snow, skimming over the top of the jumps. He's got it dialed.
You know, and we forget, we talk about these tremendous mod sleds in Pro Open. They are truly awesome machines.
No question, it's a good look at Kurt Crapo. They are guesstimating for some of the sleds. Nobody's talking, of course, numbers, but about 170 horsepower. The weight now, you've got to be 435 pounds minimum. Most of them are underneath that. And Vincent, at a crawl, something wrong for Vincent. Most of them are underneath 435. They actually ballast them up just a little bit. And for a Brad Pitlick, who only weighs 135 pounds, that combination means launch.
Chris Vincent, who battled his way into this through the LCQ, of course. Amasalo looks so strong, and what makes that amazing is the fact that you have to learn to identify the people that you're riding against, get a sense of where they're going to go. And Amasalo has done that very quickly.
He's earned the respect of the riders that he's racing against as well. They're very impressed with him. There's Pitlick. The story is, look at the graphic. Top 5, no Hibbert. He got off the line about 8th, and he has not been able to make up a lot of ground. As a matter of fact, you can just see him there. He just picked up 5th. So Hibbert finally has cracked the top 5, but he's got an awful lot of talent. He's going to have to work by it. There's Tucker.
How can it be a Pro Open final without Hibbert and Blair Morgan in front? Morgan is a spectator. Hibbert is in 5th place. Maybe Hibbert actually needs Blair as a target. Maybe he got confused coming off the line. He didn't see a yellow sled to fight with.
That could be. He just got by Trevor Johns, so now he's up into 4th. What happened? He got swallowed up in that hole shot, squeezed, and just parked.
A Pro Open final continues when we return. Back at Canterbury Park, the Pro Open final with 6 laps to go. Tony Amasalo is in front. The story is Tucker Hibbert and Blair Morgan. Blair Morgan because he's not in this final at all. Hibbert because he's had to battle his way from the back and now sits in 3rd place battling with Pitlick, and it's a pretty major fight.
That's twice now, and he finally leaned on Pitlick to straighten his sled up, and that was the pass right there. Now we'll see if he's able to hold it, but I mean, he had to force his way by Brad. Pitlick was not giving way easily at all, and that now promotes Tucker Hibbert to 2nd. Question is, Paul, Tommy Amasalo, a big lead built up while Hibbert was coming from way back in the pack. Can Tucker trim that down enough here quicken?
Well, I think the point needs to be made, too, that Brad Pitlick is under no obligation whatsoever to let anybody pass. His obligation throughout racing is with the overtaking machine. So Hibbert did have to force his way through. Finally got it done. Now he sets sights on the skidoo of Tommy Amasalo.
Well, a couple of times when Pitlick shut the door there, it almost offloaded Tucker. I mean, good aggressive racing by both. Tucker did make it work. He quickly has drawn away a little bit from Pitlick. I think part of that is because when he made that pass, it got Pitlick offline and stole a lot of Brad's momentum. But now Tucker has got to put his head down in the remaining laps that are ticking off and try and catch this guy. This European champion, he's won a number of Finnish national championships, Scandinavian regional titles, the reigning European titleist, but European Snocross not anywhere near the air and the rough chop as you get here. And also in European Snocross, they don't run studs like you do here. He's had to adapt, but boy, has he adapted quickly.
And consider the impact on the points fight of this run by Hibbert and why he may in fact be desperate not only to finish second, but to try to get the win beyond the prestige. With Blair Morgan absent, this is a magnificent opportunity, not for him just to take the lead in the open points, but to take an almost unassailable lead.
That's a very good point, and it begs the question, doesn't it? 25 points to win, 22 for second. 3 points. Do you risk 3 points riding over your head trying to catch Amasalo and crashing and maybe give it up? Or is that 3 points worth all that extra effort? Will we see? I mean, that's the question here. Is Tucker going to go after him, or is he going to settle knowing he's going to at least get 22 points built up on Morgan?
I don't think Tucker's settled for anything. And when you think about it, he came in here.
Oh. Gee, I'm sorry, Paul. Amasalo over the big finish double, he almost dropped his track off the outside edge. That hurt him. It slowed him up.
And he now has to deal with backmarker traffic as well. I was going to say, here's Hibbert, second place, came in 6 points behind Blair Morgan. Now, at the end of the season, those 3 points that we're talking about could make a massive difference, but it doesn't appear that he's going to get it.
Well, I don't know, because when he dropped that back end off, Amasalo did over that jump. Hibbert saw that. One, it cost Amasalo a fair amount of distance, and two, nothing inspires you. Even if Hibbert was thinking of settling, which I think you're right, he's not going to ever do that. But now that motivates you big time, and look at how much of the gap he's taken off. We're on our last lap, and Paul, there's traffic.
1 lap to go. Hibbert battles for the lead, trying to catch and take Tony Amasalo. Backmarker traffic very definitely going to be a factor on this lap. There is where maybe familiarity with the guys in the circuit will go to the benefit of Tucker Hibbert, currently in second.
Here's that right-hander down in the gravity cavity. Tucker's been so fast here, but Amasalo looks like he's got a good line. There's Tucker's. That's his move. He squared up, and unlike Pitlick, Amasalo had it covered. 1 quarter to go.
Tucker Hibbert still battling from second place. They come through that final corner. They scream for the line. Amasalo takes the win. Tucker Hibbert in second place.
Oh, Tucker, look at that. Not only does he look a little exhausted, he looks incredibly frustrated, and it won't be so much from the drive. I think he knows he put in a great drive. I think that goes back to the start where he absolutely got buried off the line and couldn't make it happen. Let's go back, take a look at some of the key moments here. Watch this. This is that pass of Pitlick. Pitlick a little bit out of control. Tucker just comes up the inside, but right here, Brad turns into cover. Boom, they hit. He covers, but he floats out wide because of the contact. Right here, watch Tucker, gasses it again up the inside, almost tips over, bangs off Pitlick, straightens him up, and Pitlick gets up on top of that berm, all that soft fluff is, and that was it. Here's the last turn. Amasalo, the outside high-speed line, gave him exit speed, gave him the win. Skidoo has added another arrow to their quiver, I think, in the name of Amasalo.
Yeah, and I'm sure Tucker Hibbert is going to view this as opportunity missed, despite the fact he's going to take a major jump in the points. It is official, and here are the results. Amasalo, Hibbert, Pitlick, the top 3. Let's go down to Tommy with Jerry Bernardo.
Tommy, that was unbelievable. The Canterbury crowd here is totally behind you. Being chased down by Tucker Hibbert is no easy feat, but you took a huge win here today.
Yeah, I took huge win and I get huge start, and I see that Tucker take me all the time, but I think that I can handle it in the final, and here is nice, but I take the win. So
you had a beautiful line through the first turn. You were smoking down the straightaway.
Yeah, it was nice job. I looked the track before the start, and I decided that that's the way how I go, and that works.
Congratulations, great job.
Thank you.
Amasalo, tell you what, you got to give him credit, being unfamiliar with the racing and with the series. He had a great finish. Let's go back to Jerry.
First of all, I must say, the only Octocat out there, T-Train, that was an amazing comeback. You were about 8th on the first lap, and you just hammered to second.
Yeah, it was a good ride. I got pinched off in the start there, and it was just, wide open from then on, and I just wanted to get up top as far as I could, and Tony was out there quite a ways and just rode as hard as I could and made a few mistakes here and there, but got real close. This wasn't good enough.
Yeah, nice going, T-Train. He takes a major jump in the points, or perhaps said another way, Blair Morgan falls to a tie with Pitlick for third by not being able to perform in the final, but Blair Morgan continues to lead Tucker in Pro Stock. Congratulations to Tomi Amasalo. Next coverage of Snocross comes up in Winter X later this week, as well as some coverage of Hillcross. Next on the regular tour, we'll be at Crandon. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more about Snocross, log on to ESPN.com. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents WSA Snocross. Yeah, the Warriors of Winter are ready. Crandon, Wisconsin on an unseasonably warm day as we take a look at the Lenco snowmaking weather report. 41 degrees. They've had to make a lot of snow to make this work. And here are the Pro Stock points right now with Blair Morgan well out in front, but it is not an unassailable gap.
Not by any stretch. Obviously, Morgan has had a pretty good run in this category, but Tucker Hibbert, a little bit of a stumble, as you recall, in one of the earlier rounds. Now he's got to come back.
Yeah, Tucker Hibbert, there he is, sitting 11 points behind Blair Morgan. And there are some other players in this game, like Justin Tate.
Well, the two Amsoil teammates actually very close. There's Justin. He currently sits 4th in points, but he's only 2 points behind his teammate, Dennis Ekstrom, who has 125. Obviously, they're a bit off of those two leaders, but still in all, it's very, very close.
Want to take you back to Pro Stock qualifying, round 2, heat 2.
This is one to watch. You just saw the box, Dennis Ekstrom on the outside. He had a very good run, and the reason why, this outside line, very effective if you get your nose ahead, up and over the rise, and then there's down into this big turn here, and a big triple. And Ekstrom really able to do a superb job here. On the other hand, Blair Morgan in a bit of trouble. Barry back in the pack, 5th at this stage, and these points very crucial. One, make sure you get to the final, but also in terms of the season championship.
Well, when they came out, it was Morgan finishing in 7th, and another tough day for Blair. So it's the Pro Stock last chance qualifier, and always a surprise to see Blair Morgan in an LCQ.
Of course, the issue is, as that graphic showed in the LCQ, you've got to be 4th or better, so the pressure definitely on Morgan, Paul.
The LCQ lineup. Quick check of the line.
That's Mike Island on that blue sled way to the outside, and again, you see that line works. One of the Arcticats followed off the track, but Island goes to the point, but that's Todd Wolf, Paul.
Todd Wolf comes out on point. Island got a great start and slots in. Ooh, whoa, boy, that's a rough one.
Wolf almost offloaded, and once again, we have these track conditions where it's a lot of man-made snow and a lot of hauled-in snow. Warm then cold and warm then cold. Makes the snow so unpredictable.
Now, the track is not pretty. Little lumpy in there. And you run the risk, of course, of catching a ski and finding yourself flipped totally off course.
You see Crapo, the red sled, sits there now in that 3rd spot, and Morgan has made it up to 4th. And in these conditions, Morgan is often incredibly good. One, because of his ability to find lines, and two, because of his smooth style. He can just skip and glide across stuff that other guys tend to pound into. And with this snow, with it being unpredictable, when it gives way, that's when you have problems. And that's what, like right there, you saw Crapo just hit something, a little bit of that case gave away, and he went into a tank slapper. Morgan's through.
And with a little bit of insurance now, Blair Morgan sits in third place. Kurt Crapo is in fourth. That's a transfer point. But Tomi Amasalo is coming up as well. And he has been such a strong contender this year. He certainly is a threat to Curtis Crapo.
Well, he was third in this class, of course, in our most recent race in Canterbury, so Crapo cannot sit back. You're right, rest on his laurels. He's very assuredly on the bubble. Morgan now trying to look for a little bit more padding. He's trying to get around Wolf.
Well bunched at the front, very, very tight. Blair sticks his nose in there. And he gets alongside and around Wolf. Now begins to work on Island.
Boy, look at Wolf. He came right back. His response was to go by both of them and pick up the lead. Island's off.
Island's off, but Blair Morgan comes down inside. Is Mike okay? Yeah, he just realized his time has run out for him.
And a streak is going to be broken now. Mike Island, one of only 3 racers who has made it to every WSA Pro final. Not going to happen this time.
So the battle remains at the front. Now it's 2 new players, Wolf and Morgan.
And as you said, look at Amasalo. He has gone around Crapo now and picked up third. And there goes Morgan to the lead.
But even in doing that, as Blair Morgan picks up the lead, it keeps Crapo in the transfer spot with the elimination of Mike Island.
Crapo, though, he just does not look real comfortable on that sled right now, and that may be simply a function of setup. They may have missed a little bit in terms of how the sled is working on this very unusual snow. He just doesn't really seem to be able to just stay with it.
So the top 4 all in pretty good shape. Crapo at the transfer point, and that's Crapo. Crapo goes down.
Very unusual. I mean, it looked like it just got away from him, bailed away. And normally Kurt Crapo can hang on to about anything. Let's watch, see if we can figure out what happened here. Looks good here. Coming up to right there. There it is. One of those edges, and it caught him, and his hand came off the bars, and at that point, you're a passenger. He realized the situation, Paul, wisely just bailed.
So that takes Crapo out of competition when he crashes out of the transfer spot, and it moves Shaden up into the transfer spot. Blair Morgan, the leader, but he's being pushed very hard by Todd Wolf.
And Wolf's not letting him get away, and here's Amasalo in a comfortable third. Nobody behind Amasalo. These guys, they could easily just back off and start tiptoeing, but when you do that, especially on these kind of conditions, you back off like that, your focus goes away, you make that mistake, and off you come. So they're continuing to race fairly hard, I think, just to stay in the zone. They're shading in third, but you can see Kuster not out of this one yet.
On the final lap, though, Morgan, Wolf, Amasalo, and Shaden. Those are the 4 that will move into the back row of the Pro Stock final. But as Greg suggests, Kuster, it's going to be a long shot if he has one.
Here it is. Not so long, maybe.
Shaden now under attack. Just a few hundred feet to go. Can Shaden hold on to it? Kuster's looking for racing room.
You see Shaden, he got very loose, and Kuster got him.
Kuster moves into the transfer point from a long shot to 4th place. Boy, that is an amazing performance.
And it all started, Kuster got very loose as he came up to that big last huge double, really crossed it up, big problems, and Kuster went by him.
And so the last chance qualifier in Pro Stock is complete. It's Morgan, Wolf, Amasalo, and Carl Kuster will all move to the second row in the final. Well, coming up, we'll be talking with this man, Nathan Titus, and we'll have action coverage of the Pro Stock final. There is a guy always to watch, Nathan Titus. He especially here is awesome. Let's go to Jerry Bernardo.
Catching up with Nathan Titus. Nathan, let's talk about the 2002 season so far. We know there's been a lot of changes to sleds. You're riding the Polaris. How's it been going for you?
The new sleds this year are way improved over last year. We have a good race sled, good piece of equipment under us. Most of the guys on the Team Red are learning how to go fast again. I mean, we kind of struggled for the last couple of years with the red sleds, and now we're back in the hunt. So we're doing good. We're having fun and getting faster every weekend.
Today we have man-made snow, we've got weird weather, it's freezing, now it's warm. What's this track going to do for you?
This track, when you get in this kind of conditions, they get short, choppy bumps. We had to totally revalve sleds. I mean, everybody's probably doing it. The suspension is totally wrong coming out like Canterbury, the big holes. We come here and it's just short, choppy scatter bumps, and so we have to redo everything, but we've got it pretty dialed in. Sleds are handling good, and just go out there and stay on the sleds. That seems to be the biggest problem out here. The jumps and the bumps are so awkward that a lot of people are coming off, so be smart, stay on your sled, you'll do okay.
So Pro Stock final coming up. The Polaris twins.
Well, it's interesting. Nathan and Titus, we're also going to get a look at Noel Kohansky. These two guys have been instrumental in the revitalization of the Polaris program, working hand in hand with the engineers to come up with that weight loss program and the redesign of some of the layouts. These sleds are working so much better.
You remember Justin Tate, the Pro Stock champion out at Duluth? He's been hot this season.
He has been on form and working very well. His teammate, Dennis Ekstrom, who really had sort of stolen the thunder the last couple of years, has come back to third in the points through being very consistent, always in the hunt.
And, of course, Carl Shabitsky. Always have to keep an eye on Carl.
Carl has had a lot of success in this class, and this year he's added some great runs in Pro Open as well. He's on form.
So there's the lineup, front row for Pro Stock final. You saw the LCQ. That set the 4 of the second row. There they are. So keep an eye on Morgan.
That's going to hurt. Oh, it's off. That's Shabitsky. Shabitsky has come off the sled. He just got squeezed, Paul, got into one of those bales that rotated on him, and over he went.
Boy, there is an enormous disappointment. Shabitsky in trouble early on. Rest of the field continues on with Trevor John out in front.
John got a great hole shot, and I was going to say, everybody came off that front row pretty evenly, and that's the bad news for everybody in the back row. No noticeable holes to sneak through. And as you can see, Morgan is not even in that top 5 right now. I think he's back in about 8.
Second time this year we've seen it. Everybody gets bundled up through that tight corner. Morgan goes for an inside shot on it.
That helped him. He picked up a couple of spots, but he's still mired well back. Good run there. There's Titus in second, and that's Aaron Shield. Great ride by Aaron here up into third. He's been very quick all weekend.
Tucker Hibbert, 68 in fourth, and TJ Gula right behind Hibbert.
Boy, now Hibbert's starting to work over Shield. He's got an inside line. This is that long sweeper we're talking about, and as Titus said, stutter bumps. It's so awkward through that entire section. Hibbert got him.
Shield now. Gula still sits in 5th. Look at that, though.
You just see that Morgan got absolutely hosed by a large bit of roost off of Gula's sled, but he got his head down. Those visors, so crucial in these conditions. And when Morgan gets bad visibility, that's when he becomes human. And he's trying to get that head down, get that snow to hit that visor, deflect off, keep those goggles clear.
Yeah, it's so unusual, and we've seen it more than once this season to see Blair Morgan having to come up through a pack. But we always compliment him on how good he is when running at the front. He is also awesome to watch coming through the field. I know he doesn't like it, but we enjoy it.
Hibbert just got around Titus and picked up second. A good run through that long left-hand sweeper, and then out of there up to the double. Hibbert got a run. And look at this. Here's Morgan right behind Gula. He must be getting tired of seeing that number 44. He spent a lot of time looking at it at the X Games.
So now, Morgan definitely on the move, coming in, ready to go to work on Aaron Shield at the front, and it's still Trevor John and Tucker Hibbert now in second place.
Of course, I mentioned Morgan got tired of looking at the number 44 on Gula's back at the X Games, but like at the X Games, he's now around him, and he has made the pass. He's in the top 5.
Good look at Hibbert.
One of the interesting things, look at him rotate that in the air, and yet he just controlled it beautifully on the landing. And he is coming after Trevor John. And one of the things you're saying, these sleds, these chassis for these Arctic Cats, so radically different, Paul, than they were at any time in the past. These guys are still learning them, as are the engineers, the mechanics, in terms of setup. They're only going to get better. That's got to be a little scary.
Tucker Hibbert to the lead around Trevor John. Titus third. Morgan now fourth as he made his move around Aaron Shield. So this is still pretty much anybody's run. in the Pro Stock Final. Hibbert, John, Titus. We'll be back with more from Crandon Raceway right after this. Welcome back, Crandon, Wisconsin. Pro Stock Final, 5 laps to go. It's still Hibbert in front. Trevor John is chasing, and keep an eye on Nathan Titus. He is looking good today. Behind Nathan is Blair Morgan, but there is the current leader, Tucker Hibbert.
Hibbert, there's Trevor John, and you'll note Trevor John has not exactly let Tucker get well away here, and he's been staying fairly close. So if Tucker has any sort of problems, Trevor will be there. For Nathan Titus, the bad news is, you said 5 laps to go, and he has Morgan breathing on his back here. Titus needs more than anything to get himself a podium here, to get that confidence back. He's been so fast really all year, Paul, but he's had abysmal luck. When he's had a great start, he's been involved in somebody else's wreck and taken out, or he's just been buried off the line. But he's been riding very well. Problem is, now every time he turns around, he sees yellow, and he knows who it is.
You know, one of the things about the race here, weather that has affected everybody in the U.S. and certainly affected here. Temperature is above freezing. WSA has had to work very hard to make sure that they had enough snow to do it. And the snow sits heavy. That means, 1, it's hard to race in, and 2, it doesn't mean quite the roofs that you would normally see. So at least you have a little bit of a chance to run up on the guy you're pursuing. But still, you run the risk of him hitting a soft spot and getting a face full of snow. Worse yet, getting an engine full of snow.
Well, it's sort of a rock and a hard spot, because you're right, it's a little heavier, so it doesn't hang in the air. So if you run up, you don't get blinded. But if you get caught in a bunch of the wash off a track, it's wet, heavy, sticky. And you mentioned, that gets in an engine, it gets in and it blocks stuff off. You can overheat. It's already warm for a snowmobile. Then you start to block off the opportunity for air to get to that engine. That's a serious problem indeed. So they have to be a little bit mindful of that. It's not just always visibility. Sometimes they're moving around, making sure that they're looking after the sled just a little bit.
Right now, it's Tucker Hibbert doing it his way. He has a tremendous lead over Trevor John. And Hibbert there in the air, and John is way back. We're watching Blair, but Blair is really working hard to try and catch up. That's Titus just ahead of him. He's beginning to catch him, but this has been a battle for Blair Morgan.
What's interesting, when we came back from break, he was much closer to Titus, was running him, fell back. I mean, Titus opened the gap up, then Morgan now starting to close in again. So Nathan Titus responding beautifully. It was interesting. One of Titus's comments in the WSA yearbook was, when it said, "What's your goal for this year?" He said, "To reclaim my spot among the top in WSA competition." Well, it's this kind of ride right here that could just do that.
Blair Morgan struggling to catch Nathan Titus, the ongoing battle for third. Hibbert, he's checked out. He's gone. Trevor John rides alone in second.
That's that last turn, but as they come up here, see that little left-hand king? There, it is so choppy and rough in there as he picks up the white flag for the last lap. Then over that little double, then that next lap. That's one of the most diabolical spots on the track. It's not the fastest, but it has been dumping people over and practicing qualifying all weekend long.
Here comes Blair Morgan. He sees the white flag, knows that there's just one more lap if he's going to get anything done, and now he really begins to work Nathan Titus.
He came over that double. He's down to the inside, Paul. He's alongside him. He tried to set that out, and Titus shuts the door.
Just totally slammed the door, and Blair Morgan has to drop back. Now he comes up alongside again, working the final lap. Battle for third place. They come neck and neck. And again, he slams the door on Blair Morgan. Titus wants that third. He's going to do everything he can to keep it. And here is the leader, and Tucker Hibbert takes the win. Trevor John unchallenged. We're going to see what he does in second. But the battle for third is where we're watching.
Yeah, Titus had the line in that last turn. He gets through that little minefield there, and he takes it. He holds on. Amazing here, Paul. For the first time ever in the history of WSA Racing at Crandon, Blair Morgan has not won the Pro Stock Final.
Well, they are official, and here are the results. What an amazing stat you lay in there, Greg. Blair Morgan comes home in fourth place.
It's just absolutely amazing. And that Titus's ride, here's Hibbert, and obviously, there's Russ Ebert. This guy, his mechanic, so instrumental to Hibbert's success. It's an absolutely awesome job by him. And now it's Brian Sturgeon, of course, the legendary Oval champion, who now is the Arctic Cat race director. They know what Tucker's achieved.
And what will that do overall in the Pro Stock points? Well, it elevates Tucker Hibbert in that ongoing battle with Blair Morgan. DJ Ekstrom still very much in the fight.
Nathan Titus, you couldn't be more excited today. First podium in 3 years and holding off Blair Morgan.
Hey man, I'm just jacked. Blew my knee 2 years ago. Had a rough season last year and things are coming around this year. We're having fun. Track's rough, got a good start. Just rode my own race, rode as fast as I could go, and it ended up here, man.
Like to get the story straight, give you props where you deserve them. I talked to Blair, he said, nope, you were riding good. The track is really, really rough.
It was rough, man. There's only certain lines you can make time, and I just made sure I stayed in those lines and kept my line and held my line. He tried to get me on the inside here, and I took my good line, and I just didn't give me where to go. And I mean, you know what I say. Tuck had a hell of a race. He went by, tried to follow. He had speed on me, but he stayed where I was at and had a good time.
That number 2 Polaris was working real nice.
Hey, man, my suspension, this thing is working awesome. I have no complaints. We revalved everything yesterday, and it's right.
All right, congratulations. Couldn't have done it without my breathe right, Jerry.
Well, you had to loan that to him. I would not take a breathe right from Bernardo for all the money in the world.
Right here, take a look at this. Morgan comes up along the outside, but it wasn't enough. Titus looked over and knew he'd won it.
In Bernardo's case, that, by the way, is an extra large. Let's go back to Jerry.
Tucker, even though you're only 17, this track here at Crandon separates the men from the boys. It put a whooping on everybody in the stock class, but you came out on top.
Yeah, it feels really good. You know, the track's really rough, real choppy, and you know, it just felt good out there. I felt strong the whole race, and you know, my Arctic Cat worked awesome out there. Took the holes great, and it's worked out.
About the 5th lap, you put a nice little sweet block pass on old Torch Trevor John.
Yeah, it was good. You know, I had a good line over there, and you know, I just went for it and kind of blocked him a little bit, just to make sure he didn't get back by, and you know, it worked great.
Okay, any plans on shaving in the near future?
No, I'm gonna let her go. I'll be a mountain man.
You got a long way to go, buddy. Good job.
Well, in Crandon, it's quiet for the moment. They're preparing for the Open, and coming up next is Inside Cross. Let's send you over to Greg Kramer and Inside Cross. Inside Cross is brought to you by Ride FX. Ride hard. We can take it.
So far this season in Inside Cross, we've been focusing on the technical aspects of snowcross racing. 2 issues, really. One, getting the center of gravity moved to the center of the sled and down low. The other, in saving weight. Arctic Cat, if you take a look at their new radical front suspension, the upper A-arm, not only have they lowered the mounting points, but they've wrapped it behind the spring. The other issue is saving weight. One way you do that is you get one component to do the job of 2 or 3. Well, Arctic Cat has taken a novel approach with that, and they've done it in their cooling system on their racing sleds. Help me explain that. We're going to bring in Aaron Scheel. Now, Aaron, what's happened is most of the sleds for a long time, obviously, have used a heat exchanger, but you guys have taken it to a different level on your racing sleds. What have you done?
Yeah, we have, actually. We're trying to make every part on the sled do at least 2 or 3 things. What they've done with this machine is, in the past, had an extrusion that ran along the edge of the running board to help our stand-up style. This year, what they've done is run the coolant through that extrusion to the back of the machine. And what that's done is, in the past, we've had exchangers and stuff in the tunnel, but it's been up higher at the top of the tunnel. So we've gotten it lower and used and eliminated a couple more pieces.
And Aaron alluded to that stand-up style. We're not done yet. Through that extrusion, with the hot coolant running through the extrusion, keeps those running boards, those sideboards, frost-free, slip-free. You can stand up and be more aggressive. Pretty trick stuff.
Inside Cross, Part 2. Jerry B, TJ Gula, number 44, Arctic Cat. All right, Kramer, he's kind of, you know, talking about all this technical stuff. I'm not hearing that. I want to talk to the drivers. How does it apply on the racetrack?
Well, the sled's narrower, so you can lean it through the corners more, which makes it a lot easier. That way, and then being narrower, you can shave weight, you know, and through the corners in the deep snow, you just kind of lean it just like a motocross bike. It works out pretty good.
How about jumping?
Jumping, the cylinders are laid back towards the driver, which makes the center of gravity real low. It jumps real even. It doesn't want to keep the front end high or put the front end down on you. It just kind of jumps flat, and you can correct the sled with the brake or the gas in the air.
How about power? Come on, I want to hear about power. What you got under the hood?
The stock sled's about even, you know, you can only get so much out of a 440, but my mod sled rips. Speedworks does a good job.
Tucker Hibbert, who has already scored his victory in Pro Stock, getting ready for the Pro Open, receiving everybody's congratulations.
Signing a few autographs as well. This guy did a lot of that certainly after Canterbury. The reigning European champion from Rovaniemi, Finland, came over, and at Canterbury put in a blinding run. If you remember, it was Tucker Hibbert chasing him in that Pro Open championship run. He's a unique character, Tomi Amasalo. Let's meet him.
Mainly when I go out, I try to do my best, and that's basically what I think. It's hard. It's much easier to go out and do what you have done so long time that every race just go and race as good as you can. I have a good line up there, and of course I was leading quite a lot, so I just let Tucker take me, see the guy that he give me a white flag. After that I know that he can't pass me, and I put a little bit more fast. I drive a little bit harder in 2 last lap, and that's the goal what I made for myself, and now I know what I have to do. Just work hard and try to race as good as I can, and I haven't changed those goals because if you are in top 5 in both class, it's good. Of course, everybody is now waiting that I come back up there and they can beat me, but it's normal.
Well, there's a crowd of racers, and you can make sure that Jerry Bernardo is amongst them. Jerry?
Snocross Madness, ESPN. Check it out. Newest feature on WSA Snocross, Question of the Week. And you think we don't care what the viewers think? Well, we do. Ask us what you want to find out. You can log on to WSA Racing's webpage. There's a link through att.net. Tell us what you want us to find out from the riders. Question of the Week. This week, from Jose Olas, what's the most dangerous, crazy thing you've ever done on a snowmobile? We asked them, and here's what they said.
Probably trail riding with most of the idiots. I mean, it seems to be safer out here on the racetrack than trail riding with everybody. I was following Justin off a big double, and we hit the water, and I just couldn't pull it off, and I stuck it right in the middle of everyone.
I was riding on the hood, and the spark plug made its way through the hood.
Your butt was involved?
Yeah, I got shot.
Probably that one with Chris Vincent in '99 at Canterbury in the dark there. We collided right in midair, and I ran right off my shoulder.
I was involved with oval racing up at Valcourt, going through the hay bales backwards at 92 miles an hour. You knew it was going to hurt, you just didn't know when.
Can't say that on TV. Went burning up and down Main Street in New York.
Last spring, after the race season, took one of my practice sleds out water skipping and ended up sinking it.
Nobody said being interviewed by Jerry Bernardo. Tucker checks the course. It's Pro Open coming up. Back at Crandon Raceway, the clock is counting to the start of the Pro Open LCQ. Let me tell you, qualifying in Open had a lot of action. We begin round 1, heat 2.
You just highlighted Chris Vincent, and you're going to see why. Not a good hole shot, and for Chris that means he's got to now carry the sled. He's trying everything, gets into Shabitsky, and with this unpredictable snow, as you see him doing a little breakdancing there, the sled tipped to the side, the snow gave way, over he went. Now one thing we have seen for a lot this season, including the X Games, was Pitlick getting a big hole shot. However, Tucker comes after him, but there's Jim Beck, who ran off the track. Watch this pass by Hibbert, down to the inside, then breaks, gets in front of him, takes the line away, and that's what happened. Now, we're in the third heat for the first round, and this is Amasala with Morgan at war, and Morgan gets in front, noses across. Watch what he does here. Morgan does this better than anybody. Gets a nose in front, then eases over on you, shuts your lane down. Now, we go to round 2, heat 2. Big crash coming up here, 3 guys involved. That's Gula coming up. Boom, Island gets involved. You think, all right, everything's fine here. Looking all right. Now, we jump ahead. Watch Joyce Shaden. This is the early Oscar contender for Crash of the Year. That, folks, is an airborne monster bailoff. And he got up. He was just fine. Thankfully, he landed on the downslope. Watch that. See that? Back of the sled got kicked on top of that double, and it came around. Nothing he was going to do was going to plane that out. And he realized right there, about 30 feet in the air, I need to get off here. Now, Nathan Titus, who was so good in pro stock, struggling a little in open, right there. Got up, did the wheelie, tried to stay with it, couldn't. Off he goes. That's going to put him into the LCQ.
So with all that, it's time for the Pro Open LCQ. There is Nathan Titus. He's had a reasonably good day so far, finishing third in Pro Stock.
Chris Vincent, I'll tell you, he's got to be just frustrated. After the problems at X, they just can't seem to get this sled off the line, and Chris is the kind of guy who then feels he needs to carry it, try and get it to the front, and it's been a struggle.
One tough guy, though. He's been riding injured almost 4 years now. There's the starting grid for the Pro Open LCQ. Again, 4 to the final.
Pitlick once again got a great hole shot. Although I think that's Island that actually went around. Yeah, nope, Island Tuck's now back in behind him.
battle at the front, battle there in the second place. Dance that thing.
Tell you, that's that stutter bump that we heard Titus talking about earlier. There is absolutely no rhythm to these holes, and that really got Pitlick offline, and that has allowed Island to go by and pick up the point in the early going here. Oh, somebody just backed off and parked back there.
Island and Pitlick at the front.
I think that's Titus now that's moved up. Yep, there's Nate. He's into third. That's a transfer. Then the two Yamahas. Oh, Haybale went flying there, and I think that was Vincent ducking underneath his teammate Nakazawa, picked up that last transfer spot.
Yeah, in fact, Vincent sitting there, Nakazawa battling. Oh, what a heavy hit.
He stayed on, sort of, unbelievably.
Man, I don't know how they do that.
He got up in the air and the sled, he was way off to the outside of that triple. The sled rotated on him, and he came down almost perpendicular to the track and somehow hung onto it and stayed in a potential transfer spot. In fact, it's now back to second.
You know, I do that on my snowmobile. I'm out for, a year or two.
With things that are swollen that shouldn't be.
You talk about athleticism, strength, training. These guys are the epitome of it. I mean, they make it look graceful, but believe me, it is not in any way easy.
Well, it's not, and you have to have tremendous, particularly upper body strength to just hold on. Remember, these are about twice as heavy as a motorcycle, yet they're doing the same things that a motocross or a supercross rider does. And that's upper body strength. And the thing that's helped is that stand-up style, the narrowing of the sleds, all the changes, allow you to use more of your leg muscles to control the sled, which gives you a little bit more endurance, but they have to be very, very tough. And of course, you know the commitment, the dedication, the discipline they have.
Well, and each of the manufacturers has worked heavily, especially on the modified, the open sleds, with suspension, shock absorbers, the entire setting up front, and in fact in the track. So it's slightly better when you land, but still you're only going to dissipate so much energy. You still got the final shock absorber is your knees.
Well, exactly, and you're still driving something with a three-point stance as opposed to two, which gives you that extra pivot point, which makes things awkward. It's just a matter of physics. It's going to be a little bit more interesting to ride. You talk about suspension, you're right. Front suspension, I'll travel up to about 11 inches. Rear suspension, 13. That's approaching motorcycle suspension levels, but as I said, you've got that third pivot point, and it's just, you've got to just simply ride through that often.
Boy, Kurt Crapo finds himself in the middle of a dogfight. He's trying to hold off Todd Wolf while at the same time catch Mike Island. This is a very tight battle, and let me tell you, Nathan Titus does not have that much on the rest of the field.
No, he's leading, but it's not by a bunch. And remember, Mike Island is on one of those Polarises as well. It's just an independent effort, and so it doesn't carry a lot of that Polaris red. It's more blue, but nonetheless, Island has been extremely quick this season. And remember, that streak is of making every pro final so far this year went away with his failure to get into pro stock. I'm sure he's a little extra motivated as a result of that to make sure he gets to open.
The top four are Titus, Island, Crapo, and Todd Wolf. So we'll be back for the checkered flag right after these messages. In the final moments now, the Pro Open LCQ. The only real change there is Wolf now in third place. It's Titus, Island, Wolf, and Kurt Crapo. Those are the four who will transfer to the back row of the Pro Open final.
A little bit of a comfort margin for Crapo as we watch the top three come through the pack. There's a good look at Wolf, is that the four of them have now distanced Nakazawa a little bit. So Crapo's got a little bit of a cushion. He doesn't have to worry about it this stage, and doesn't have to push too hard to try and get into this group of three for a little protection.
And again, the conditions opposite of what one might expect. Temperatures in the 40s. Almost wonder why they're not riding in T-shirts. They're so accustomed to such bitter cold. Nathan Titus, the leader, working in the closing moments now. I'll tell you what, they have been battling as Titus takes the win. They've been battling 1, 2, 3 like that, lap after lap. And one has to assume you've really exhausted yourself, and yet you got to go on and run the final.
Well, there's a very quick turnaround to that final, so this takes a lot out of you.
So the results are now official. Titus, Island, Wolf, and Kurt Crapo, they will all move to the Pro Open final. Let's consider Pro Open points as we're ready to go into this final run.
Well, of course, the story there is look at Morgan way back there, and that's because he didn't even make the final at Canterbury. He needs a tremendous weekend here to catch this guy who's way out in front right now. But Tucker has gone undefeated in the 2 rounds of qualifying, so far he's actually padded that points margin a little bit.
Blair Morgan currently tied with Pitlick for 3rd. There's Noel Kohanski, currently 5th in Pro Open points.
Kohanski, of course, awfully effective in these Pro Open races. He is very, very fast on these mod machines.
Those points are about to change. It's the Bud Light Pro Open final. Of course, as always, part of the focus will stay on this man, though not as intently as it has been in the past couple of years. The fields are really getting even with the presence of guys like the European champion, Tomi Amasalo.
Well, remember, he won this class at Canterbury. Even though Tucker Hibbert was chasing him down, he couldn't quite get the job done. There's Noel Kohanski, one of the best qualifiers in this one. And Noel is always a spoiler in these races because he is so quick. Here's the guy with the mission, really. He's looking at a big points deficit to Tucker Hibbert. You know that doesn't sit well with him, even with that repeat gold medal he's got in his pocket.
And now he's got 2 of them hanging on the wall from Winter X. There's the front row. And the second row from the LCQ.
These sleds, 800cc, reputed to be in the neighborhood of 170 horsepower. And it all comes to bear right now.
They rip off the line. Blair Morgan grabs the lead early. Looking back there for a Catton and Tucker. Whoa!
That's Noel Kohanski, a big, huge step up. That's after that triple as they're dropping down into the gully, and he got a little wide and got off to the edge of the track, and something actually hooked that sled, sent it into a snap roll, and Noel went flying.
Blair Morgan has already pulled out an amazing lead as they cross the line, completion of the first lap. Morgan just got a great start.
Well, I tell you what, throughout the qualifying heats, Hibbert nailed every start, got to the front, was strong, and Morgan couldn't buy a hole shot. Boy, did Morgan come up big when he needed to it at the start of the final. Conversely, Hibbert got buried.
Hibbert's not even on the leaderboard now. Back there in 6th place.
You can see him, he's even further back than that. He's buried right now, probably 8th or 9th.
Up at the front, look at this fine battle that's going on. Carl Kuster, Ekstrom, Shabitsky, they all battle. Here comes Ekstrom. DJ's working on Kuster.
Hibbert has just cracked the top 5. He just cracked the top 5. He got off the start line in 8th spot, made it up to 7th, then now has found himself up into the top 5, but now the competition's going to get decidedly tougher to work through.
Well, and with Blair Morgan just beginning to ease away from Carl Shabitsky in 2nd, Ekstrom got around Kuster for 3rd.
I'm not sure if he got by him, but I'm not sure if he got around him. He may have gone through him. Those guys are battling so hard right now. And the problem for Hibbert is he's catching that group, but look at where on the outside you've got Shabitsky, middle of the track, Ekstrom inside the track, you got Kuster. What that means, no lanes for Hibbert to get through.
No openings at all as the 3 battling ahead of him, Shabitsky, Ekstrom, and Kuster. Well, look at it. There is Hibbert. Hibbert moves down the inside.
Now he's going to try and counter-move. Kuster is, but can't get it done. So now Hibbert gets one little break here.
Oh, Kirk Crapo falls by the wayside.
It has just not been Special K's weekend. It has not been a good one at all for him. Meanwhile, we get back to this battle, and
here comes Hibbert as he comes back to work on Ekstrom. Whoa, comes way off, down the inside, picks up a block and falls back.
What happened there, he got into that turn at the bottom, was going to turn and try and get underneath those guys, and again, that unpredictable snow, something just gave way because you saw the sled suddenly walk left. He tried everything he could to stay on it and avoid those blocks, just couldn't get it done.
Back with more right after this. Back. Pro open final. Blair Morgan way out front. That's Ekstrom in second place, and here comes Tucker Hibbert working on Carl Shabitsky. That's about the 5th block that he's knocked to Kingdom Come.
Yeah, he has, and I'll tell you, he's just trying to figure out, and now he finally does get by Shabitsky. Not a popular thing to be knocking those bales around, but he's running, he's trying to find some lines, and like I said, the snow kind of unpredictable, and it moves the sled around a lot more than it might normally. I mean, normally these guys, particularly the Morgans and the Hibberts and the Ekstroms, are very super accurate and precise, but the snow is so unpredictable. Nonetheless, Hibbert has made his way to third, but he's still Scott Ekstrom, and Ekstrom's a ways out in front, and Morgan's gone.
Well, and you can see, too, the track is the only place that there is snow. Again, kudos to the folks here, WSA and everybody else that's tried to get this track going. It's amazing that it actually exists.
It's the Flannerys, really, we got to give credit to the people that run Crandon International Off-Road Raceway. Speaking of off, that was Ekstrom was close, but they were absolutely determined to make this race happen. What little snow they had, they piled up. They went and found snow everywhere that they could haul in and dump. They got snow guns in here. We're making snow. It was just unbelievable what they did to ensure that this race came off. The Flannerys, long been very successful in off-road racing as racers, now as promoters, doing a great job.
The battle continues for second place between Ekstrom and Hibbert. Hibbert's looking for the opportunity. CJ's not going to give it to him.
Not intentionally. I mean, he did have another little bobble right there. And every one of those little things where suddenly you realize you're awkward. He's looking awkward on the sled is a loss of momentum. And when you lose that momentum and the guy behind you, especially a Hibbert, sees it, he does something like this. Tapes it a little bit more. Boy, fended him off very nicely.
I'll tell you what, Tucker almost had a major piece of Ekstrom on that one. Now Tucker comes up and grabs him. What a sweet move.
That was a setup move. Tucker watched Ekstrom the last time. We've seen Ekstrom do that too. Tucker knew what he was going to do coming out of that tight right-hander through that left-hand kink to the line. Gave him the look, then checked up and just set sail down the inside of that kink. That was sweet.
The interval from Blair Morgan. Here comes now second place, Tucker Hibbert. Ekstrom is third.
There's Morgan, and there's that ultra-smooth style of his. And look at that sled. I mean, one, they obviously have this sled figured out in terms of setup, but the way Morgan rides it, you don't see a lot of that choppiness. He just finds these amazing lines, and he's so smooth. You see that snap turn right there? That was a great move by Hibbert. Use that little lip to get the back end loose.
Oh, Carl Shabitsky. Slowed down and off, got himself in trouble. There's Mike Island. Now he's going to get lapped in this thing.
Yeah, he is just struggling right now in this class. He made the final, but it was a tough go for him, and he's just not been able to get quite in his rhythm. But Hibbert using the lips of these jumps as he gets to a corner, gets him in the air, actually starts to turn in the air, then goes to the throttle to get the back end to snap around. Great to watch.
2 to go now for Blair Morgan. Hibbert still in second. He's closed in just a little bit. For a moment, he had to deal with the slower traffic as well. It was Mike Island. Morgan got him pretty quickly. Hibbert had to wait a couple of corners to get it.
Hibbert is closing, though, and I got to get the feeling he must think a little bit like this is the movie Groundhog Day, where it keeps repeating itself because it's the third. Oh, Amasalo! Amasalo has come off, and that sled, that's a very awkward place for it to invert. I hate to see that happen on one of those beautiful machines, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, Tony, too.
Well, now the machine. Now, Tony.
As I was going to say, Morgan, you can see Hibbert is closing up, and like I was going to joke about the movie Groundhog Day, this is the third consecutive race, if you include Canterbury in the X Games, where he has had a bad start and has ridden like a madman and got up and been in contention for a win. He's got to be getting tired of it, and he's got to relish the challenge. Boy, he's closing.
Hibbert's right there. He closes a bit more. Now he comes up. He's in direct challenge with the leader, Blair Morgan.
This is the double where Hibbert has been making up a lot of time and made that huge jump last year to get by Morgan in this class. Not this time.
On that double. He slapped awful flat coming through, and so Blair Morgan takes the win. Tucker Hibbert comes from the back and into second place. And there's DJ.
Those two, once again, Paul, an unbelievable show. And Hibbert, so impressive in chase mode.
Official results. Skidoo, Cat, Skidoo, 1, 2, 3.
Now Morgan's going to get that lap of honor, and of course, I think he feels a little vindicated here after losing this race last year. He's won it, but DJ was third.
DJ, great podium finish for the Amsoil team. Skidoo's 1 and 3. What was it like to ride 12 big laps on this nasty track?
Yeah, it was extremely hard. I mean, I kind of petered out at the end. Looks like I'm going to have to hit the gym a little harder this week, and started catching Blair a little bit, and I think I just got a little nervous, and Tucker came by and just kind of finished out the race, but it was still fun. I mean, I'm glad I got out front and got to run with the guys.
So there are the points, and Blair Morgan still way, way out in front.
Well, the numbers changed, but the margin didn't. They ended up earning the exact same number of points. Morgan got more for the win, but as I said, Tucker was better in qualifying, and they paid points there as well. It came out even.
So now Blair Morgan and the rest head off to Syracuse, New York, a little further to the east, and we'll have dual coverage on ESPN2 on Monday, March the 4th.
Well, Hibbert and Morgan both splitting a final here. The points, it's going to be interesting, and I'll tell you, it's going to be fascinating to watch Morgan try and make up ground in Pro Open. After Hibbert won it last year, Morgan wants it this year.
Well, winter is not helping us, but still, WSA Snocross continues. You're watching ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.